Hey, good Monday morning, my friends. MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with the MLive Morning Weather Update. We have some weather, definitely this week. We have two what I would call Alberta clippers. Remember, these are the storms that drop southeast out of Canada, so they have a little bit different of a personality than other types of storm systems. Now, I think I can monitor your questions, but for some reason, I can't see the broadcast. So I'm assuming that it's going. Can you let me know if everything looks okay? I would appreciate it very much. Let's see here. All right, so, and then we're going to look longer term. I've been watching this about December 15th to 17th, thinking there's a little bit of a warm-up, 35 to low 40s. And it still appears to be heading this way. So let's get on into it. And I want to just start with the fact that, yeah, we're in a stormy pattern. And you can see the jet stream active with all the cloudiness spewing out of the Pacific Ocean into the Pacific Northwest. And that's where our Alberta clippers come from. All right, Carter says, all good. Thank you very much, Carter. Okay, so the radar shows that today is a pretty good day to travel. There's really nothing that is significant going on. Now, we cover two weather systems. The first one is mostly an all-snow system. The second one is a mixture, and I'll show you why here in just a second. The low-pressure center with that second, more robust Alberta clipper will roll across the center of lower Michigan. And remember, even at this time of the year, south of the center of the low, it's often rain, and that will be the case. So we go through the day today. If you're wondering about traveling today, you're in good shape. Now, tonight is when a band of lake effect develops along the shoreline of Lake Michigan and comes on shore. So winter weather advisories for the shoreline counties from Ludington northward for 3 to 6 inches overnight. While the rest of us overnight, this is 5 a.m. tomorrow, 6 and 7, the rest of us have a couple of hour period of light to moderate snow and maybe up to an inch. So this is 8 tomorrow morning. That means it's slick in Saginaw and Flint and Detroit and Ann Arbor. It's not a snowstorm, but that first inch is always what I say is the most dangerous. Hey, going to travel, going to Waukegan. I know where that is. I lived there most of my life. Friday, we'll look at that here in just a moment. So this is the first storm system moving through tomorrow, and I'll show you the snowfall totals on that. Then the more robust Alberta clipper comes in. You know, this would be Monday evening, or Tuesday evening rather, in the southwest in Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek. And then during the evening hours, it lifts north and snow develops everywhere. Ignore, the northern fringes where you see that rain. That doesn't happen. That's kind of a quirk of this model that I like. And why are you heading to Waukegan? Are you going there for Quonset Hut pizza? That on Grand Avenue? That's what I'd recommend. And so then on Wednesday morning, you see the rain makes it all the way up to near the Saginaw area, into Lansing, into Ann Arbor, and Detroit. Grand Rapids, maybe for a brief time period. And then we change back over to snow quickly Wednesday morning, and it swings on through. And that will not be a heavy backlash snow, but on wet roads, freezing roads, Wednesday could be tricky at times. I'll be detailing that in my writings here today and tomorrow. So this is snowfall forecast, and we go through tomorrow's first little snow. We'll call it a 1 or 2 incher everywhere except along the shoreline from Frankfort to Manistee to Ludington to Pentwater. To near Muskegon, you may have anywhere from 2 to 6 inches of snow. Then here comes the next one. So this is Tuesday night. When it's cold enough, we can get a burst of several inches of snow, and then it basically melts during the middle of the day on Wednesday. So this is a little deceiving right here. You look at this and you see total snowfall, 7 inches in Oakland County. You say, wow, that's a snowstorm. It's really probably 3 or 4 inches Tuesday night, melts, and then maybe another inch or 2 at the end of the storm system. In fact, I think I think a better way to look at it on this is, well, I thought I had snow on the ground lined up for you, but you know what's going to happen there. So look at these temperatures. Let's see. Carter says, I have an event tomorrow evening north of Lansing, adding at 8. How could drive home to Clarkston be? Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. You know, you're going to get into the startings of that. So it could be kind of treacherous right at the beginning. These are the temperatures for today. We're cold. We're like late January type cold with temperatures only in the teens. Now here's tonight. We're in the 20s. You could kind of see the marine layer of air coming on shore tomorrow as we get a little bit warmer. Tomorrow's 30-ish. And then remember that Alberta Clipper comes, and with the low tracking, the storm center of the storm tracking from, say Muskegon to Saginaw, warmer air south of that, 35-ish. So if you are going to be traveling Wednesday morning, I'm going to say like 7 to 10-ish will be the safest, maybe till noon. And then as we get into the afternoon, the colder air settles in as the snow winds down. Here's bigger picture now. Dustin Connor, could this December break any records for temperatures as a whole? Mid-Michigan, it has been cold. To break a record for a month, you got to stay this cold for the whole month. So we're going to address that coming up here in what looks like a pattern change coming to me. And I don't know if it's 5-day pattern change or 2-week pattern change. I think it's just a break, let's call it, in the harsh winter weather. So here is that Alberta Clipper that's more robust. This is Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. You see the center of the storm, Milwaukee to Saginaw. And note, that's where you got your snow north of that. Traverse City, Clare, Cadillac, Tawas, Alpena continues all snow. And then you get a little mix. We could have some freezing rain, brief. Not ice accumulation on the power lines, but just brief on the sidewalk where you run out too fast in the morning and you fall on your you-know-what. And then Wednesday night, the colder air comes in. Looks like it could be some fairly robust lake effect hugging the coast on Thursday. And then the next one, right now slated to miss us to the south. But what you'll see is mini disturbances. These are a lot of 1-2 inch snows, several of them, maybe 5 of them in the next 2 weeks. And you'll notice as we get out there, then you start to see the red line, that's the freezing line, and you start to see green, that's the rain. All right, so how are we going to look at the future? And the question is, is this our whole winter? A couple of things here before I get into this. This is what I call a weather extra because you get it extra for no price on YouTube. La Nina, we have a La Nina going. That is the opposite of El Nino. And a La Nina winter, a lot of people will say, well, is that cold or warm? Is that snowy or not snowy? A La Nina winter is highly variable. You might be thinking, well, Michigan is always highly variable. It's more variable than normal. So in other words, it's completely plausible that we go into December like we have, extremely cold for this time of the year, 10, 15 degrees colder than normal, and flip-flop at some point for a couple of weeks, maybe going 5, 10, 15 degrees warmer than normal. Now, one thing I will say is that once you build a snowpack over Wisconsin, the UP, southern Canada, Minnesota, Iowa, the Dakotas, there's a continual funnel of cold coming and it's at its strongest time of the year in the middle of winter. So it's hard to erode away a solid snowpack, but it can be done, and it could happen. So let's look at the upper airflow. We're going to look at 15,000 feet up, and you'll see that as we go out to mid to late December, the atmosphere kind of warms up and expands, and this in my mind would put us to like 5 to 10 degrees warmer than normal, which isn't warm. I'm not going to use the word warm, because if I say 40 is warm, everybody say no, 80 is warm. But 5 to 10 degrees warmer than normal gets you to 35 to 40 in the northern half of lower Michigan, and it might get you to 40 to maybe 45 in the southern half, somewhere in there. So here it is. This is the European model in the ensemble mode. Oh, they are going to Quonset Hut on Grand Avenue. Go Blue SH. Why don't you bring us back a few? They make them frozen now. And I brought some back to Michigan, and my wife and family and friends scarfed them. If you ever have a chance, if you're ever in Waukegan, go to Quonset Hut pizza. They call it tavern style. You know, it's got square cuts and whatnot. I turned my friends on, my family here in Michigan to them. When I first moved to Michigan, the first pizza we ordered, the waiter or waitress said, "Would you like ranch with that?" I was like, "What do you mean, ranch with the pizza?" Well, here in Michigan, we dip the pizza in ranch. I was like, "You do? Why?" Because it ain't very... I found out because it wasn't very good. So here's your upper airflow, okay? So there's your little bend. We're coming in right there. That's been getting bigger and bigger all along. So that's our robust Alberta clipper. And then here's another one, perhaps on Friday, just to reinforce the cold. Then you'll notice December 15th, December 16th. This isn't warm, but this gets us to 35 to 40. Doesn't end the storminess. And then we go out to December 19th and 20th and 21st and 22nd and 23rd. And a lot of things are starting to show this a little more widespread warming again. 35 to 40 and a break in the, what I would call, right now, legitimately, we could call this Arctic cold, probably, I would say. So there you have it. We're going to deal with a light snow tonight and tomorrow, except along the shoreline, the Lake Michigan shoreline, 3 to 6 inches right up there. So if you're going north to south, you use US 131 in this case versus US 31. US 31 will be a lot worse than US 131. And then we have the widespread Alberta clipper. I'd call it a 3 to 6 inch snow from Bay City to Midland to maybe Muskegon northward. South of that, I'd call it a 1 to 3 inch punch, a meltdown, another 1 or 2 inches, a mess. And then we got cold for the rest of the week, but fairly quiet after that. So thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. We do this every morning if you're first catching it, and it's on YouTube all the time. Take care.